Hey everybody, I'm here in West LA at Mr. Sate. There you go. I'm gonna meet up with Arnoud. He's gonna talk about him being here in SoCal, and I can't wait to hear his story. Let's go.
I was born in London actually, but I grew up in the Netherlands, in Leiden specifically. The reason why I'm currently here actually is because I am a visiting assistant professor at the UCLA, doing research on media representations of the rijsttafel in particular, but we might get into that later on. But I think we're going to talk about something else actually.
That's right. So born in London,
Yes.
but raised in Leiden, right?
Yes,
If I think of Leiden, I think of the university.
absolutely.
Did you also graduate there, or did you graduate in Delft or in Rotterdam, or?
No, so as I said, I grew up in Leiden. Leiden is a relatively small city. It's a great city, but a small city, and I really wanted to go to another city. And so I went to the University of Amsterdam, and I did my education in media studies, which they offer there.
So we're here at Mr. Sate.
Yeah.
There you go, Mr. Sate.
Delicious este.
There you go. Indonesian restaurant. I repeat, Indonesian. Tell me more about the word Indo, because this is a very confusing thing for any bystander if they ask us here in SoCal or in the Netherlands or Indonesia, what is your ethnicity? Can you tell us more who your father is and who your mom?
Yeah. I think that's as you said, it's a difficulty in terms of how people define it. But to explain it from my personal background, my father is from the Netherlands, so he's a Dutch white man from Leiden. And my mother is from Yogyakarta in Indonesia. So in that sense, I'm half Indonesian, half Dutch. However, to complicate things, I also have a history with the Dutch East Indies through my grandfather from father's side, because he was born in Bandung before Indonesia became independent. So during the colonial times as Dutch East Indies. He grew up in the Dutch East Indies as a Totok, so a white man, a white Dutchman, if you will, and he was also interned in a Japanese internment camp, the war, and then later came to the Netherlands. So I have a line or familial line with the Dutch East Indies in that, and maybe to explain how that works in the Netherlands, or maybe in academia, because I'm an academic. Or like a common standard definition maybe is that we have something what we call in the Netherlands an Indische Nederlander, which is an umbrella term and translates roughly to Indies Dutch, if you will. And then within that you have two quite distinct groups. One are the Totoks, so the white Dutchmen who were often born in the Dutch East Indies, or perhaps even lived there for centuries. And then the Indo-Europeans, or the Indos of mixed ancestry. I think there's where the emphasis lies for us as people of mixed ethnicity.
Well, guys and dolls, this is a beautiful example. Arnold explained it.
He's a child of a Dutch white father and a Indonesian mother from Java, from Yogyakarta. Okay? He also explained his opa, his grandfather from father's side, was born in the Dutch East Indies before the Japanese occupation. So he said Totok. Totok is a name for Europeans born and raised in the Dutch East era. Sorry. So of course, automatically he's also a Dutch Indo and Indische Nederlander. While me, okay, my parents were born and raised in the Dutch East Indies. I'm the only child. I'm also an Indische Nederlander, but Indies related to our culture, our Indische culture. So two things, okay? Now, in Holland or in the Netherlands, a lot of people don't like the word Indische Nederlander, also given to that specific group of Dutch, the white Dutchmen who were born and raised in the Netherlands, Totok. They are also Indische Nederlanders. So, thank you, Arnoud, for explaining that.
And just wanted to add also that the terminology and definitions make things obviously complicated because it includes things but also leave things out. And I, as a scholar, have struggled with the translation of Indische Nederlander, of what it means and how other people have defined it. And the most common that I found, or maybe the most useful, is Indisch Dutch, as Indische Nederlander. But other definitions you might see are, for instance, in Indische literatuur, you might see Dutch East Indies literature or Netherlands East Indies literature. But I prefer to say Indisch Dutch literature as an umbrella term, as I said, because that includes what Michael's explained, both the Indos, but also the Totoks and their work.
So, I came to the United States in 2002, and for all the time, until 2012, people started talking Spanish to me, which is okay. In SoCal, Southern California, a lot of people speak Spanish. It's basically a second language. So they saw me as a Latino. And there came a time that I was so fed up with it. People coming to me, hey, do you speak Spanish? Are you blah, blah. So I created this logo, SoCal Indo, just to educate them that I'm not Spanish speaking or Latino, but Indo, as in Indo-European father and Indonesian mother. And from that time on, from every angle, people were coming, hey, mijn oma is Indo, or are you Dutch Indonesian, or I like nasi goreng. See, it was a snowball effect. So yes, Indo stands for Indo-European in SoCal. SoCal is the abbreviation for Southern California. SoCal Indo. So you are a professor? Yes, so you teach at the University of Amsterdam.
Mm-hmm.
So I bet you must have been sent to the motherland, to Indonesia, to teach, you know. How is it going back to the country where your mom was born, where your opa used to live? How did the people, the students, didn't they ask you once, what are you, Arnoud? You have a European name and last name, but you look like one of us. What did you tell them?
Yeah, I've been to Indonesia many times, and also for my work, indeed. I also give some lectures. But the question, what are you, where do you come from? I would say it's not only the students, but obviously also if you go to a hotel or anywhere. And then I often just say that I'm half Indonesian, half Dutch. That's to be honest, my standard answer. But I've also been asked whether or not I was an Indo, and also in the same definition as you've described before. But it depends a little bit whether I could say that I'm an Indo or not. Would I be an Indo-European in the sense of an Indische Indo-European? No, not necessarily like that. But a lot of Indonesians do call themselves Indo as an abbreviation. But I'm also not necessarily that, of course, because I'm half-half. So that's why I always say that I'm half Dutch, half Indonesian.
So if I would wear the t-shirt with SoCal Indo and you too. So then most likely the people in Indonesia would think that t-shirt with the logo was related to Indonesians, right?
I think they might think that, yes.
And then we would be called the Indo Blasteran or the Indo Turunan Belanda.
Yeah, or in general just the campur.
Campur, yeah.
Yeah.
So then basically Indo me would be Indonesian me, right? And not Indo-Dutch me, right?
No, exactly, Indo-European me.
Okay. So born in London, raised in Leiden, the Netherlands.
Yes.
Your mom originally from Yogyakarta. Tell us, how did your parents meet?
I don't know actually. It's a good question. I should have asked. I should ask them before. But I mean, they met in Indonesia.
Okay.
That I do know. And then my mother followed my father to the Netherlands, and she's been living there for quite some time.
Yeah. So, you have brothers and sisters?
I do have an older brother and two younger sisters.
A younger sister, okay. So born, I assume born in Leiden, right?
Well, my younger sisters were. My brother was born in Yogyakarta.
In Yogyakarta?
Yes.
So, he must speak Indonesian.
I do, yes.
And your brother too?
Yeah.
Okay. How did your mom and dad raise you? In Dutch and also in Indonesian, or only in Dutch?
No, they both can speak Indonesian, obviously also both Dutch. So they spoke actually mixed. It's been both Indonesian and Dutch, but mostly when my mother, she often talks to me, my brother and sisters in Indonesian also, but we would always reply in Dutch.
Good.
So in that sense, it's a mix.
So your mom, Jogja, she speaks Jawa, most likely, and Bahasa Indonesia. Now, she came at how old was she when she came to the Netherlands?
I would say early 20s.
Early 20s. Let me guess, does she speak Dutch with a heavy accent like verlegen? She says perlegen? Or yes, like our omas and opas. Does she speak like that, or she's really well integrated and she speaks Dutch like an American or a German speaks Dutch?
Yeah. No, let me say it like this. She's well integrated in the sense that her vocabulary is great, but you can hear that she was born elsewhere. But the funny thing is, I wouldn't say that her accent is similar to an Indische accent. So a lot of people who are Indo or Indies, like Totok, and their fathers and mothers, when they grew up, they spoke with a very particular kind of Indische accent, if you will. And my mother doesn't have that. So it's not similar to that, I would say. It's different. It's different, yeah.
Arnold, I just came back from the Netherlands, and believe it or not, I was in Leiden because there was a Pasar Malam. And I think from all the Pasar Malams I've been, this is the most original one. It was on the premises from the university, from the museum in Leiden.
Yeah.
And talking about Pasar Malams, did you go often to Pasar Malams like most Indos did for the food, or do you go sometimes to Indonesian restaurants because there is no Indische restaurants?
Yeah.
And we'll talk about later about Indische rijsttafel. Tell me more about the food from Indonesia, the Indonesian restaurants.
Yeah, it's a good question. Well, first of all, no, I hardly ever go to Indonesian restaurants in the Netherlands because the best Indonesian food I get is from my mother, of course. So that's where I get it. But we actually did go to the Pasar Malam Bazaar when I was little always, and later when it was renamed to Tong Tong Fair, I also came there often. Of course, because of the food, it was the main attraction. But while you were asking this, I was thinking that so my grandfather, who grew up in the Dutch East Indies, he was very familiar, of course, with Indonesian food and the same kind of food that the Indies population or the community in the Netherlands eat. So there was that connection between my mother and my grandfather. But all the foods that I ate, or that we just ate also, like the Sate, is for me, I connected very much to Indonesia because of my mother, not necessarily to the Indies, although obviously it has overlap.
Arnoud, your Totok Opa, born and raised in Bandung, the Dutch East Indies. how did he survive the Japanese occupation? Did he go to the Dutch East Indies Army, the KNIL, or tell me more about that.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how old my grandfather was when the Japanese occupied the Dutch East Indies, but he was old enough to go to a camp. Sorry, a car. But he was old enough to go to a camp, but he was older than the rest of his siblings, so he had to go to a camp on his own. So he wasn't young enough to go to the women's camp, and he also was in a different camp than his father. And he actually, I don't know how many, but he was in different camps in Cimahi, interned, and had a rough time, of course, as anyone in the internment camps, but he survived the camps.
And then after the Declaration of Independence, he went like most of our Indo people and Dutch to the Netherlands.
Yeah, I can't remember by heart exactly when, but it was so after they were freed from the camps. Quite soon, I believe, they went to the Netherlands. Yeah.
And then I think I may or can speak on behalf of other Indos. Born in the Netherlands, okay. When did you hungered for, I'm Indo, I want to know more about my heritage?
Yeah.
Were you basically born and raised like that I am, or did it happen at an older age?
Yeah. No, that's interesting because when I was younger and I thought about my heritage, I would always think like Indonesian and the Netherlands. So that was where the answers were. But I did hear some stories from my grandfather, although he passed away when I was relatively young. And it was only later when I was a student that I really wanted to learn more about the colonial history, the Dutch East Indies, Indies Dutch literature, things like that. And so it was during my time as a student at the University of Amsterdam that I took courses about this kind of histories and memories. So it was, for me, it was later on. And then also through my oud-oom Charlie, so the brother of my grandfather. We had a lot of contact about the things that happened to them and their histories, and he wrote it all down also.
Are you brothers and sisters also interested in their heritage, or they're like, nah, it's not that?
No, they are, but not to the same extent. But I feel that's also because of my work, because my research is really about how media is used to remember the colonial past, so colonial Indonesia, the Dutch East Indies, etc. So because of my work, I invest more time in it, for sure.
So now we're sitting here in sunny SoCal. So the reason why you are here and not teaching at the University of Amsterdam,
Yeah.
what is the reason? And if you could choose between ending your career here or in Amsterdam, what would you choose?
What a questions. Okay, first of all, I was lucky enough to get a grant. I applied for a grant, submitted a research proposal, worked on it hard together with my wife actually. We got it. I'm now here at UCLA where I'm doing a project on, as I said, I work on memory and work in media, and I'm particularly looking at media representations of the Rijsttafel, but not only here, so not only the Indo community in SoCal, but also in Indonesia itself. But I mean, you have to, if you want to have the results of that study, you have to wait a little bit longer because I'm still here doing it. As for the second question is where I would continue. Well, obviously, as you said, we're in sunny California, so that is something that the Netherlands cannot offer. But in all honesty, the department that I work at the UvA and my colleagues, they are great. So I'm not necessarily waiting to trading them. So maybe ideally it would be that I could return here more often after this project ends. Maybe that's the best answer.
So thanks to Arnoud for sharing his story of his life about an Indo here in SoCal. Sorry guys, I've been away for a while. My Indo Wikipedia dad passed away, so it took a lot of my energy, and I've been going back and forth to the Netherlands. But I'm thankful I documented everything. I'm thankful I met Arnoud also, and I'll try to do my best to keep on posting Indo related stuff here on SoCal Indo YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment below. I will always respond. Thank you. Okay, Arnoud, thank you very much.
Yes, I'm leaving.
And what is this? What the hell is this?
This is a Waymo,
Is this the
self-driving car in Los Angeles.
without a driver?
Without, as you can see, without a driver.
You know, Indo's in Guna Guna. There is
Yeah.
a ghost in this car. But anyhow.
I'll open it so you can see what it looks like.
Arnoud, I'll see you soon, okay?
Yes, talk to you soon.
Bye bye.
Okay, bye bye.